welcome back to the Whatnauts Reactor Core number 96. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how was that water?
It's good. It's wet. A wet beverage for a wet show.
There you go. Looked like I caught you off guard there a bit and was just like, whoa, hold on. Good stuff. Here today on the show is the second half of our 1899 coverage. If you have not seen our first part of this, go check that out. That was covering episodes 1 through 4. This will cover the second half of the show, 5 through 8 here. So yeah, this will absolutely have spoilers and all that stuff. I don't think I would really do a like spoiler free zone on this one. I feel like we can just jump right into all of this stuff now that we've seen the entire first season of the show. So yeah, let me go ahead and hit the spoiler alert button just in case. But yeah, here we go. Cool. Okay. Now, Melissa, we have seen the entirety of season 1 of this show. We did have someone comment on our YouTube video saying that they think the show is planned for 3 seasons. And it seems like there will at least be a second season according to the ending of what we got here in season 1. But also, I haven't seen very many, like, 1899 is an interesting thing here in the United States. I don't see it much in, like, in the, like, popular, it just not mainstream, but, like, I don't see, like, IGN really talking about it that much, or, like, Kotaku or stuff like that. All these sites that I typically go to for both TV and movies and video games and all that stuff. So I haven't seen very many like interviews with the creators or articles about like what they have in store. But I'm sure that stuff is out there. Before we get to kind of what we now know the show is kind of about, Melissa, walk me through what was going on in your mind leading up to all of that stuff. So episode 5, where were you with that one?
So we watched the first 4 episodes and we recorded that reaction episode like nearly 2 weeks ago. And then I had to stop. I'm like, if we're talking about 4 episodes, I'm only going to watch 4 episodes. And then I only started back again with episode 5 a couple days ago. And I think it had been just long enough that things had started to bleed out of my brain. So it took me a while to like get back up to speed with everything. It's not like I suddenly forgot who characters were, but it was like the plot machinations. I have to remember, where are we exactly with the mystery, solving the mystery.
So yeah, like that's kind of the thing that I felt like is like at the end of those 4 episodes, I felt like I still didn't know what the show was truly about yet. But it was episode 5 that I walked away from being like, okay, I think I know what it is. And then it was like 6 and 7 that then went on to be like, yep, it is exactly that. It's the thing you were thinking. By the end of episode 5, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's a simulation. Like this guy has a mag light. Yeah. Like this other guy has like a tablet. There's no way that it's like the infamous like Starbucks mug in Game of Thrones that was just accidentally left there. Like he has like future technology here in this thing. So there's all this anachronistic stuff that is happening. That I'm interested to see where it goes but it was still that thing of just like, but I don't know, like it could still and go like wherever.
All the anachronistic technology is still, you're not exactly able to pinpoint it to a specific time. You're like, this isn't modern, but I don't know if it looks like the 70s. You can't like it's got these sort of old school aesthetics, but you're right. That is a touchscreen tablet. So you're like, I'm not sure when in time we are. I know
Right.
it's not 1899, but I don't know when it is.
Right. Or, I mean, like, that is a thing, too. Now that we know that this whole thing is a simulation, how deep does that simulation go?
Right.
Is the thing. Which we'll get back to that at a sec, but there's anachronistic things from all sorts of different time periods.
Yeah.
Not like I'm sure there might be some details in the fashion and stuff of like, they say they're in 1899, but that style of loafers didn't come into fashion until 20 years late, right? Or like the kimono. Like I don't know enough about like the traditional Japanese or Chinese style clothing to know of like, okay, that was traditionally worn like maybe in certain things, but I don't know. But we have the music, right? There is this like the technology thing that looks like the puzzle that you have to move the pieces around. Also has this like 1920s like look to it. But then he has that mag light, which is not. I don't know if it's actually a mag light, but it looks enough like you know, a mag light that's like, okay, that seems more modern. Maybe as early as the 80s, maybe, but I doubt it. And then we have the music from the like 60s and 70s and stuff like that. And then we have the like the futuristic tablet, and then this reveal at the end that they're all on some spaceship, right? So
Kyle, let's get right down to the bones of the thing. How do you feel about the spaceship reveal?
Ooh, I have some qualms about the show.
I
Actually,
also qualm.
I have some qualms. So here's the thing: I'm not ready to say that I disliked the show because I love sci-fi stuff. I'm a big sci-fi fan. So all of this simulation theory stuff, all of the like they're in space and they're like I like those ingredients. But I think the creators of this show do such a good job with tone and atmosphere, and they've shown us in Dark that they know how to tightly plot something out and script something out just perfectly, where it like in 3 seasons you feel like you've gone all over the map with stuff, but you feel satisfied, right? So I have to say I left this season kind of tossing my hands up and being like, I don't know if I like this, but I also know if this is supposedly 3 seasons, they have space and room to justify those choices.
Yes.
And so I'm not completely lost yet, but I'm just like, I don't know. You guys got some work to do here.
My issue was our leading theory from very early on was simulation. That is what the show is. Good job, us. Pat on the back. And I didn't think too much about what was outside of the simulation. I was wondering if like 1899 was an anagram and the show was in like 1989 or 1998. Those were my theories.
9,981, right?
So yeah, some sort of could be that, or could be a very far future with throwback technology, or an alternate recent past that's got some sort of like the aesthetics of the time, but like touch screens and things. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking a lot about where are we when we get out of the simulation. And when we find out we're in space, I thought, what is the lead up to us being in space specifically? Like, there was no hints to anything that's outside of the simulation, just that you are in a simulation. And if there had been scenes where, like, they're on a ship, where, like, somebody's out on the deck and they're looking at the stars, when they're in the, like, the crew members try and, like, navigate by the stars, if there was a star imagery anywhere, if there was anything celestial, anything cosmic, it would have felt better connected to me. There was no hint about space specifically. And something I was really wanting to get by the end of this season And I didn't know going in. Like, I didn't know until you told me that this is going to be a show with multiple seasons. I didn't know if this was a limited series or what. I probably could have paid closer attention, looked harder at the Netflix page and seen that if it said season 1.
Well,
but
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Netflix didn't advertise it as a limited series. They usually do if it's like, hey, we're only doing one season of this. But some, just because they intend to do 3 seasons doesn't mean they're necessarily going to. Things do get canceled. Things do just, but like, yeah, you know what? It didn't have the numbers. Let's just do one more season and wrap it up and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly if this will get its full 3 seasons, but I think with how well Dark did, I think both for Netflix and for the creators themselves, I kind of want to give them the benefit of the doubt here, that they know what they're doing and that they can nail this in 3 seasons.
I imagine that they do know what they're doing. Like, Dark was so tightly plotted. Like, even if at the end of that series, every single thing connected to each other. Sometimes it was connected in a very sort of checkboxy way of, you're going to see these 2 people get together and have this child, so the child can have another child because of time travel reasons, even though that romance doesn't have a lot of emotion behind it. Yeah. Even if the feeling wasn't always there, the logic was there. And I believe that to be here in 1899 as well. The thing I was hoping to get out of the final episode was, why is this the simulation? Why are you here? Why is it 1899? Why is it on the steamship as opposed to being in any other time in any other place? I was like, I will take somebody sitting at a desk and they look at a picture on the wall and it's a drawing of an old boat. I'll take that much. I will take anything. But we have no evidence as to why we know why there is a simulation, but we don't know why we have this simulation.
Exactly. I think for me, where I really enjoy these characters, even if I don't know exactly all of their names and stuff. I do like how in episode 5, after the whole time stop thing and they lay it away and time starts up again, there is this ticking clock, and they just kind of get rid of all of the extra characters except for this smaller core
wild
here. Which you and I on one of our other podcasts recently read some Junji Ito short stories. I don't know about you, but this ticking clock with all of these people just suddenly walking on the beat to go jump off of the ship really felt like a Junji Ito manga. And I was just like, man, this is actually kind of cool. I like this a lot. Go ahead.
I want to say that's one of the more interesting plot twists to me, not just that people suddenly start monotonously walking off the ships to their death. It's who we lose and who we keep.
Right.
Across these last couple episodes of the show, it's not like the show just sort of keeps killing people off. It seems like we're almost assembling a final team. The show kind of stops killing people a while from the end. And I'm like, why is it these characters and not any of their companions? The first one that really surprised me was when Ling Yi's mother walks off the edge of the ship. And she seemed like a more pivotal character than all the other random passengers we saw walk off the ship.
Yeah.
Why have we lost her? Why is she an NPC and other people are not? And why are both of Tove's parents still here? Just thinking of characters a little bit farther out on the periphery who we still have. And I'm wondering why we dwindle down to the crew that we have. Why do we have Ramiro and not Angel? What is is there some larger meaning to who the final people are we have when the ship crashes and the simulation is over?
And that's kind of how the show lost me a little bit here, because once it was confirmed, it was like, okay, this is a simulation, and then they started to get rid of all these extra characters, and it was this core group of them. As much as I like all of those characters, it kind of just resets everything to zero in like, oh, a lot of the information that I probably know about these characters may not be true. I don't know why they are. We know that they're now on this spaceship, all within this like simulation thing. But again, we also don't know if that's a simulation, or is there another layer outside that? Is there the 1899 different layers of this simulation? We don't know.
Ooh.
And so for me, that kind of took like, well, hey, setting, reality, like all that stuff is not important to the show. And that's on one hand where I was just like, well, I feel like I don't really need to pay attention to any of this stuff, because we're not going to get the answers in the last like episode and a half of this stuff, right? We'll get most of that stuff in season 2. So I was just like, okay, well, I feel like I can kind of tune out a little bit here. And then as I thought about it, though, I also thought about another one of our favorite shows, Lost.
Yes.
I think one of the big problems with Lost is that its setting, its reality, the mysteries that are within that, all of the, why is there a hatch underneath here? And that can fit on both of these shows, right? I think that became so integral to what people watched that show for, that people lost sight of the characters in Lost and what their journeys were meant to be, and all of that stuff. And I think that's why I walked away from that show liking it, is because I recognized that Lost was actually about the character journeys rather than all the weird mysteries of the island. And so I'm wondering if a similar thing is happening here, but they're just taking notes from shows like Lost and be like, hey, as much as we love all these little intricate mysteries, we need to do something that kind of just renders them like pointless, right? Of just like, hey, it doesn't matter what time this is set in. It doesn't matter if they're on a boat or a spaceship or on Earth or on Mars or on the moon or in future times, in past time. It just focus on the characters here. And at the very least, I was like, I kind of like that. That it is kind of narrowing our focus. It, in a sense, like a triangle, right? It's just focusing in on that there. But yeah, I'm still just like, I kind of don't know what happened at the end there exactly. It's a lot to digest.
Yeah, I had to look up a 1899 explained video, and then I watched it like on my phone while I'm doing my makeup before we record this video. And even then, it's like I didn't even get all the explained video.
Right.
I've had like a very long week at work catching up after the Thanksgiving break, so I'm pretty brain dead to begin with. I do wonder if I was given this show when I was more energetic, when I had space for it, if I would take it any differently.
Yeah, that is the same thing that I found myself doing with Dark, though, right? Is like, when I originally watched the first season of that show and season 2 hadn't been out yet, I walked away from that being like, I don't think I know what happened. Like, I don't know. And it took a second viewing, like way down the road, where I was like, I kind of know what happened in this, but not well enough to like be on solid ground. But then when I watched it a second time, I was like, I got this. This is good. I like what they're on to here. So I'm wondering if there's going to be a similar effect here with this, especially as we get more context down the road into season 2, right?
Yeah, I'm sure I will have these questions answered. Like maybe the specific people we had surviving at the end of the ship, maybe they do mean something in the world outside of the simulation. Like those are the crew members that Space Mara works most closely with. I don't know. Right. I'm very curious to see how all of them translate to being personnel on a spaceship. Like, what is
Right.
Space Tove like? I want to meet her.
Or how their relationships might be the same or
Yeah.
different on there. Like why were certain characters attracted to one another in the simulation? Does Olek and the Chinese woman who I'm trying to look
Ling
up her
Yi.
name, Ling Yi, yeah, like are they married in real life?
Yeah.
Maybe. Like
They were
and
sweet.
that's why they found each other. But then there's also this like love triangle between the three French people
Mm.
that is like, okay, what's going on here? Like it just it felt like I'm just back to square one here of just like I don't truly know anything about these characters exactly. But I think the basis of the show is working off of the Plato's Cave allegory, right? It is the whole simulation theory that they're enthralled by all these dancing shadows on the wall when in reality there's just people moving behind them, right? And that's what is casting that. So what did you think of that aspect and the fact that Moira might even be the creator of all of this simulation theory, trying to play God here? Like it sounded like she had some real philosophical questions that potentially led her down a dark path.
Yeah, that was interesting when her dad says that she found the paper about Plato's allegory of the cave when she was too young to like get it, but it fascinated her and she fixated on it and she went so deep like, well, how do I know that this is real? Well, if God made us, how do I know God's real? Who made God? Like she's going too far out.
How deep
I
is
kind of
that
like that,
right?
Yeah, I kind of like that as an origin story. She just got too like cosmically terrified as a little kid by reading literature above her reading level. I like that as an origin point of
did the same thing back in the day. I read books that I'm sure like went way over my head, but they still kind of fascinated me, right? Like, I remember. I mean, I read like Lord of the Rings when I was in like third or fourth grade. I also read like C.S. Lewis's like the screw tape letters and stuff back then, and I was just like, oh yeah, I understand. It's about a demon and his uncle trying to like tempt this one guy, but like you know what I mean? That is like the most like base level description, like back of the box thing that you can say about that. So yeah, it like it's relatable for me to an extent, but I also wasn't like so cosmically terrified by all of that stuff that it drove me to these lengths, right?
Something about this simulation, in addition to wondering why is it 1899, why are we on the ship, there's nothing desirable about the simulation for anybody. Nobody's really having a good time. Some characters may have certain level of status, of power, of wealth, but nobody is happy. Maybe the happiest character is Mrs. Wilson, but I think that's just because she's sort of a businesswoman, and it seems like her business of getting young girls into this sex business, it seems like it's going well. Like she was a character we never got to know that well, so it was kind of surprising that she survived all the way to the end. Like we know nothing about this lady. We've not gotten a single flashback, a single hint as to what like her driving trauma is. But yeah, nobody's really enjoying the time they spend in the simulation. So why was a simulation designed to be such a bummer? You would imagine that you could imagine a story about a utopia, a really fantastical, like admirable place to be, and then to learn that there's something dark and seedy behind that this is a fantasy. You are in a dream space. You are escaping your real life.
So
but these people are escaping this space slumber just to be wet on a sad boat.
Well, that's the thing is I don't think I don't think that simulation is where they want to be. And I think that is why I think it's multiple simulations deep here, right? I think somewhere along the line, another character or multiple characters or who knows what saw what Moira was doing, how harmful it was, not only to her but her family and those around her, that somehow I think they tried to get her locked within this. Like I don't like I think that's why she can't remember certain things. She can't remember her family. She can't remember what she did, why she was on this boat or on that boat. Or I think she's locked in there. I think someone has tried to trap her a number of simulations in, and is now realizing like, oh, I actually need her for something. I don't know what it is, but they need her, and that's why they're like, you need to get the key to unlock the pyramid to do this thing. But we don't know. We also see these images of what I'm assuming right now is Earth, but I don't know. It hasn't been confirmed that it's been desolated. There's this giant black obsidian pyramid, and mix that with the space. I'm wondering if they're looking for a new planet or who knows what.
That's why people leave Earth.
That Twilight Zone where they're just preparing him to go to the moon here, right?
Oh,
and that the whole thing is a simulation, and they're just in isolation for a number of time before whatever the actual mission is.
Yeah. It's training, yeah.
But all of that stuff could be a simulation too. Like this desolate Earth thing could also be a simulation to trick people into doing certain things. It's just, I like this stuff, but at the same time, it's also just like I can't see where they're going yet. So I'm just kind of lost right now.
Yeah, we need some sort of a totem. Like when you go into the dream space and you spin the die and you spin the top and the top falls over and you're like, okay, I know I'm in the real world, but if you spin the top and it spins forever, you're in a dream. We need our own totem.
I just watched season 4 of Atlanta, which has a very similar thing in this. Won't spoil it, but thick Judge Judy is what a certain character looks for. If because he knows Judge Judy is always on TV, and so if I see Judge Judy and she is thick and has some nice hips on her, and she is has some nice boobs and a nice ass, then I know it's fake because that's not her, right? So we need thick Judge Judy here to decide for us what's real and what's not.
Yeah, we need some sort of rules. We need one fixed, constant thing. If anything goes wrong, Desmond Hume will be our constant.
Exactly.
Where we know this thing we can rely on. This is immutable. Like whatever simulation nonsense doesn't affect this thing. We know this is the truth. We have a compass. We don't have a compass.
Yeah. So I hope we get that right away in season 2 here. But who knows? I really just don't know what to expect for season 2 here. Because it can go anywhere at all.
Something I realized as the show went on is that Moira's dad is a lot like old Adam from Dark. You remember him?
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
In that you've got this older, literal or metaphorical father figure. Sometimes your father figure is just you from an extreme future. But you've got this mysterious old man who's taunting you like, you're not asking the right questions. And he's just leading you around the borders of a mystery, but not actually telling you anything for a long time. It's a lot like the Architect. Is that guy from The Matrix? I feel like these shows have both had Architect scenes in them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I need that anymore. I want an old man who will tell me actual things instead of just like alluding to them and then giving me one exposition dump at the end. I need to be drip fed like real information.
Yeah.
I feel like that it might have been the way we broke up these episodes to talk about it for these recordings, but I feel like it was a big huddle of information and plot mythology things in the last couple episodes when I would have liked a little more of an even pace throughout the thing instead of, okay, day on the boat, day on the boat, day on the boat. Oh no, we're being covered in graphite crystals. What's this?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So besides all the mysteries and stuff, I do also want to talk about how the show looks visually. Because I think they are doing some incredible stuff here. That is just so fun to see it in action. From these what we saw last time with these like black tile hatches into nowhere, only to find out that there's a secret panel in those things that go to what we thought was like another reality or something at first, right? But it's just yet another bit within the simulation, or another, like somehow they're escaping into another simulation here. I don't know exactly, but man, just the like panel ripped out of the sky is so cool.
That was my favorite thing. I think this show is very good at its visuals. I think it's a bit more striking. If you take the opening credits out of Dark, a tier all on their own.
Yep.
I think it's improving over Dark in the visuals that it shows you, particularly because we've got a bit more mysterious spaces and threats to play with here. I love that you go into what you think is like a portal almost to another world, but there's a limit on that. It's like the Truman Show. You are in a confined physical space that's just supposed to look like you're in a countryside that stretches on forever.
Yeah.
When they crawl out of those the portholes and there's just like a black hole hanging in space. Yeah, and when they like tear the paneling off of like the Scottish moors, like they tear off a chunk of moor.
Incredible.
And behind it is just like the iron rivets of the ship. That's so rad. I really like that you're in what you think is another boundless sort of mysterious realm, and it has these real tangible like physical constraints on it, and you can't go as far as you can see.
Yeah, that one scene, I think I don't remember if it was a gun or a rock, and they throw it and it like cracks the sky. It was just like, this is so cool.
That's great.
Like you said, it is the Truman Show. It is the like, they've reached the end of this. Like, what is happening here? Can the other guy, like, is a camera behind that he can see the crack on the screen of the thing? Like, what is happening here?
Where are those cameras that he's watching stuff from? Show me the physical camera.
Yeah, exactly. But even like because it is so sci-fi to be able to rip off a panel like that, but then it just goes right back to those like old rustic 1899 aesthetics where it's like, this is the side of a ship. Like, this is just steel here. It's just like, that's incredible. But then to like go back on the ship, and the ship is being infected, it looks like, by this like crystalline structure. This degradation of information is, I guess, a way to put that, since it is a simulation, right? That it is just this like breakdown of visual knowledge. Is that I don't know, like it's so just beyond comprehension, right? Of like, what exactly is this stuff? And the interesting thing to me is that it infects one of them. Again, what's her name? She touches it, the French woman. She touches it, and her hand starts to turn black, like she like has like soot all over it. But it like it's on her skin. It's going up her arm. like that, it seems like there's and again, we don't know how many layers deep the simulation goes. So is this something that affects her in real life? Is this just another bit of the simulation that is affecting her?
Oh.
And they go up one more layer, and it's revealed that she actually doesn't have that arm in like period, and she's been thinking of it like in that simulation. And this is just like, it's since it's going away with all the stuff that's not there in the boat simulation. Maybe it's also being like, hey, you don't actually have an arm here. Like, we're just gonna get rid of it. Stuff like that would be interesting to explore.
That's quite a question. Like, if anything we have seen in the season 1 boat simulation, if that does have any effect on those characters in the future.
Yeah.
If any of those injuries, like is Lucien dying representative of it, while he's like in stasis or whatever, maybe his body is slowed, but something about that condition is getting worse.
Yeah. Or even like, is this somehow less of like a digital manipulation and more of a physical manipulation, like of somehow something like nanobots or something, like creating a physical space around someone to make this stuff? Because that stuff also just kept spreading and would not stop, and it reminded me of like a gray goo situation thing, right, where there's just these like rampant like nano machines just eating and consuming everything. So
yeah,
that's why I'm like, is this not, because like I don't know if they're all necessarily just sitting on a couch somewhere with like a VR headset, you know, sitting on their like, there's other options for what this simulation could be. Potentially could also end up like Serenity, the really bad Matthew McConaughey movie.
I did think of Serenity often while watching 1899.
I did have that thought run through
Honestly,
my head.
This show felt like it should have been a video game. Either like it should be a video game in addition to this Netflix show we're watching, or that it was going to zoom out and that's what it was.
Oh,
it wasn't just a simulation. It was
Kingdom
like
Hearts. It's kind of like that.
Like they are in a game. Like somebody has programmed Mora. Choose your player character. I'm Oleg. I play as Oleg this round.
Right. Yeah, there's so many different ways they could go. And I think even if I am lost, it is kind of cool to see all of the different influences that the show has pulled on. We've mentioned Serenity, The Matrix. We've mentioned Lost. We've mentioned like all sorts of stuff of just like, it reminds me of this. It like this thing went through my head, and honestly, that's kind of cool. Like I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if each season will be a different layer of the simulation. Like we just get a different time period, a different version of the logo every single season. I feel like the logo would stay mostly the same, but maybe it changes up slightly to represent a new time period or a new genre space that it's playing in.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Or like I'm also wondering if somehow all of the characters have to work together to do something. Like it almost like you said, it almost does feel like a game to a certain extent, and the deck is stacked against them, right? Because they're on a ship. They all speak different languages. Do they speak those languages in real life? Who knows?
Yes.
It could be that these were obstacles that were programmed in to keep them from communicating, to keep them from working together to beat this simulation or to free Moira, or bring someone down. I don't know. But lots to think about for sure.
Yeah, I think about how on the ship we had these little pods of people and nobody knew each other or really got to know each other until several episodes into the show when stuff on the boat started getting real bad and like, the people are walking off the edge of the boat and like then our group has to sort of coalesce and combine and then you get like here's Ramiro and Tove in a scene together. Like nobody like in episode 1 nobody knew each other. Like the people from France didn't know or interact with the people from Spain.
Yeah.
And beyond language barriers, like everyone was so secluded into like this pair of characters. They're going on a journey. They're not really intersecting with other pair of characters except for that they're all on the same physical boat together. You wonder like if this is a crew of a spaceship, and we saw in most of them like in that immediate room that Mora wakes up in like the final 5 minutes of the episode, why are these characters in this room together out of this whole spaceship that you imagine has like maybe the entire crew, every person on board, like in some sort of spaces slumber? Like these people must know each other on the spaceship. So why do they not know each other in the steamship simulation?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I feel like I can't trust any information that the show has given me. And that was something that Dark didn't really do. It just confused me of like, okay, which timeline am I in? Like but like that I could straighten out pretty easily. This is just like the rug got pulled out from underneath me and there's no floor and I'm still somehow floating and I'm just like, I don't understand. What is this?
Where'd gravity go?
Right, yeah. A couple other things I think we should touch on at least briefly. So in Moira's cosmic terror or whatever it is, it seems like it had something to do with her family or her kid specifically. Maybe her kid was sick. And she's trying to save him. And so she wants to create this simulation to, I guess, like upload his consciousness into or something. Who knows what? Or maybe the kid already died. And so she wants to build a simulation for herself so she can live a life with her kid. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Do you feel like she is motivated by saving someone, or do you feel like she is motivated by like saving herself, or has she just gone too far and other people are trying to deal with her?
That's a good question. We don't know a lot about what Mora's backstory is true. First, we thought she's looking for a brother. I originally thought Daniel was the brother. Because she didn't mention a husband. I wasn't looking for a husband. Yeah, that was a good surprise. I thought the little boy, also surprised to learn his name was Elliot. Like the episode descriptions on Netflix mentioned an Elliot, and I'm like, I don't know who that one is. They just call him the boy. I call him the kid in the berries and cream suit. I was really hoping we would get out of the simulation and we would see that kid in modern times on a skateboard. I'm sad I didn't get to have that. But she was looking for her brother in episode 1. We thought that was her goal, and now it turns out like her brother's sort of playing the game, like playing the simulation against her. He's usurped her power. He's trying to like trap her there. And I was thinking that one crew member with the beard who's like also able to get into the ship, I was thinking, oh, maybe that's her brother.
What I was about to bring up next is that guy. We know that there is an agent in there from the other team, right? This kind of wrench in the machine that's trying to stop them, or is somehow able to communicate, or like knows that this is a simulation and is able to communicate a layer up at least. How do you feel that guy factors in?
I I don't know. He knows something. Like I said, I was thinking he was the brother. I don't know if he was. So in that final scene where we see everybody in their pods on the spaceship, I really wish they were like lit differently, or we like
So you could
looked at
see
them
who's
more
who.
closely. Right, because like with everybody, like you can't see anybody's hair. Everyone zoomed into like just the immediate face, and they're like asleep. They're like flat faced, no expression. Like they're lit weird. Like some characters, I like took me a second to like realize who they were. I wish
Mhm.
everybody was a bit more recognizable in that scene. I don't know if he was there. I have to watch it again.
Yeah, because like I don't know if that is the brother, though it could be. Um, like I was almost, because when we watched the trailer and they had the All Along
Yeah.
the Watchtower
Yes.
song, one of the things we kind of threw out there was like it this choice of song makes it feel like there are a number of characters that are stationed on guard, right? They are looking out
Yes.
for certain stuff, or they feel like they have a duty to protect, or something like that, right? And so that, with the inclusion of this one dude who seems to be working for the other team, that also has me thinking of like, is there someone who's yet another layer undercover?
Yeah.
And like even that guy doesn't know that good old Jerome is also working for the same team, but he was placed in the simulation before, so like he just has no idea here. He's some kind of like sleeper agent or something, who knows. But man, I just last time I ended like most of what I had to say with just like, I feel like I'm overthinking everything. Now I feel like I just don't know where to begin. I don't feel like I can go down any path to be like, I wonder if it's this. I'm just stuck. I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, this is a series that like really keeps all of its cards very close to the chest. It'll give you something. Like we were able to clock pretty easily, this is a simulation, but so many other things. It's like we have no clues, or like you could like take those clues away from us. Maybe those clues are meaningless. They'll just evaporate.
Yep, indeed. Who knows? Maybe season 2 will get dinosaurs. Maybe we'll get Gundams. Maybe we'll get like an 80s period piece. Maybe they'll be all mixed in there
what I
with
want.
The presidents of the United States and some like Freemasons secret society thing here. I don't know.
The presidents of the United States of America, the band that sang that Peaches song.
They run into
They
are the ninjas that attack in that music video, right? Oh man, who knows, right? Honestly,
I would love to see.
That would be great. If anyone puts that in any TV show, let me know. I will watch the hell out of that show. If somehow time travel worked it out so they were on set for the making of that music video where the ninjas attack while they're just in some random field. I don't know. Like, what? So dumb.
I do hope that we get the 1899 flipped around and we get 1989 or 1998. I think that would be a lot of fun. Show me these characters in the 90s, please.
Yeah, because we know the space stuff is happening in 2099, right? That's I think the one that they had it is, yeah. So 200 years in the future. I don't know if that has any significance to it or not. I know in Dark there was some significance to when things were happening on the timeline and stuff. So I don't know. I know I just keep going back to Dark, but that's also really the only other like touchstone point of comparison that I can be like, okay, these creators tend to do these things here, but I don't know. So
I will say that over Dark, I think this show is more efficient with its emotions. I've said before that as wonderfully plotted and styled as Dark is, as great as the cast and the performances are, I had trouble sort of latching on to characters. Like there aren't a lot of moments of like if there's love, it's an angsty love. It's a forlorn love. There aren't a lot of sweeter, more charming scenes. But I think this show's improving on that. I like a lot of these different pairings we have. I liked Oleg and Ling Yi. I liked Ramiro and Angel when like that rubble falls on him and they have that final like I love you exchange. That's really touching. Or when Clemence asked Lucien, did you ever really love me? And he's like, I wish I didn't, because you're this reminder of everything I can't have because I'm about to die. Like, I would like to have a life with you on some level, but I know I can't. I think that was a really interesting moment from this character who seemed like he was going to be far more of a jerk in like the first couple episodes. Not that he's a great guy, but he's more sympathetic than you would have expected by the end of the season than what you got at the beginning. And when they get separated and like all the graphite is poking, the ship's just being jammed with a bunch of pencils, all those graphite crystals are coming through. Yeah. They like run into each other again and they give each other this really sincere hug. Like she runs into his arms, this husband who has ignored her and been terrible to her after they have this sort of breakthrough of she understands him better. She still cares about him. Like she still wants to help him and save his life. Like there's something between those two characters, even though clearly it seems like she's supposed to be with Jerome. Those two characters, I like that they have a level of care for each other. Like there's, and it was nice to see as people get thrown into different combinations when they're trying to get out of the ship. Like I said, I think her name's Mrs. Wilson, the lady in the green dress. Like as she's sort of succumbing to whatever this graphite poisoning is, different characters are really trying to help her out. Like she's leaning on Tove. Tove is like 7 months pregnant, doesn't have that much strength left anyway for herself. Like there's a little bit more empathy and connection between the characters in the show. Like you feel a little bit more for these characters in season 1 than Dark was able to accomplish in its first season. And I really enjoyed that. Yeah. I'm enjoying these characters.
Yeah. And of course, pour one out for poor old Garlic Boy.
Garlic Boy!
Bit the dust in this one. Hopefully he's back in whatever next simulation.
Exactly.
Look, that's even another thing. Like you were commenting on the Chinese woman that jumped off the young guy, Crester, I think was his name.
Crester. Crester seemed like a more important character that should have lived longer.
Is he someone who's further up and they were just like in this, maybe he's in one simulation with them, but the next one down, they're not. So they're just simulating him. So does that mean some of these characters will be back in season 2? Again,
they better be.
I'm a broken record over here, just being like, I don't know.
Right. And right. And was there ever an Ada, that little girl? Are there any children on the spaceship? Or is every young is she a simulation? Was she never there? Why did they make a kid sister?
Right. Are some of those characters representations of their parents from when they were younger? Or something else of here's just what I know about my grandma, and like that is who this character. I don't know. I'm just speaking out of my ass here now. So I think though that is all I have to say on 1899. Do you have any other kind of final thoughts you want to add?
I enjoyed it. It's hard to get a grasp on. Like there's so little that we know at this point that I can't I don't know how to judge any of their ideas. I don't know how to evaluate how I feel about it being space.
Right. Yeah.
But
I don't know.
It's a great looking show. And I do really like this cast. Yeah, there's stuff here that I think could have me coming back for season 2.
For sure.
I got to figure out why they're in space. Why were they on that boat?
Who knows? We will hopefully find out in season 2. But that being said, Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities.
There you go. If you guys would like to stay up to date with me, I'm at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and co-host and Hive. And if you would also like to follow all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter, co-host, and Hive. If you're on the YouTube version of this, we have a few more videos for you to check out over here on that side, and that would help us out a ton if you did check them out. But yeah, this has been episode, 96, I think I said, of the Reactor Core.
I think so.
We're getting up there. We will see y'all next time. Bye.